I bought the cheapest DS Lite on eBay for $9.95. I have not yet opened this box, so we will see what we have. So this system, it looked to be pretty broken, according to the listing description. Nice and sticky on top, and oh, it's in half. Top screen cable is very crunched. So there are our first impressions. So I will be fixing this guy up the absolute best that I can. However, I need to fix it up to be able to sell on my eBay listing of refurbished DS Lites, which has pretty high standards. So I can't just throw in a random aftermarket shell piece or a random aftermarket screen. That's not gonna work. We need to go in with the highest quality of pieces. So we gotta get this guy all fixed with real Nintendo pieces. So we can see right off the bat, the top plate is extremely sticky. I mean, this is like extremely sticky. He probably removed these decals that are in here, and the bottom of the system looks to be in pretty good shape, actually. We have the GBA slot cover as well, so that's pretty nice. Yeah, all right. The condition description of this DS on the eBay listing says, broken hinge. Yep, that's about right. And then he says, not sure if it powers on because I do not have a cord. Hinge is broke, and there are custom stickers on the console for parts or repairs sold as is. Okay, so there we have it. That's all of the information that we have on the system. So let's go ahead and see if it charges. It charges, and we get a green light. Okay, so it literally does turn on. He didn't need a power cord or anything, but it's not going to turn on because the top screen is just, oh, look, it's totally disconnected. So when the top screen is disconnected, the bottom screen will simply flash and nothing else will happen because the system fails its turn on check that makes sure the top screen is having a connection with the board, but clearly it's not in this situation. Okay, guys, I think that's pretty apparent. Let's first and foremost get this guy taken apart and inspect the condition of the motherboard and everything. So before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and disassemble the top of the system here. So I'm just going to take these pads out because we will need to get into here at a certain point. This is my first video with my new camera. Please bear with me. I'm using a black background instead of my usual gray because my gray is not big enough for my new camera. So exposure is going to be a little high. Just please bear with me. So let's remove these screws. So now I will remove these bottom rubber pads and let's get this bottom plate off. And now we can get these shoulder buttons out. The board on first glance actually looks pretty dang clean. There's not even any dust built up around the volume switch. So this so far is looking pretty good. I think the motherboard will have no problem. We just got to get that top screen addressed and then see what the bottom screen looks like. So for now, I'm going to leave the bottom screen plugged in even. No real point in taking it out. Oh, that's so funny. If anyone would like a top screen ribbon cable, I will put it up for sale on my website. I'm going to leave the bottom screen connected to the motherboard for now because at the moment, for all we know, they could be totally fine. Now, these wires have gotten tugged into this little slit over time, which is not good. There we go. I may want to replace those wires just to be safe. So we'll leave the top screen assembly like this for now. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to test this board with a new top screen just to see the condition of the bottom screen, because for all we know, the bottom screen could have dead pixels, it could have bleeding on the corners, it could have a random issue. So we want to make sure the bottom screen at least works, and to do that, we got the Wi-Fi chip plugged in, and now I'll put this battery up to the contacts, and we'll see what happens. Woo! That's fantastic. So guys, see why the reason why I don't like to use brand new parts is because look how much brighter the top screen is than the bottom screen. It's pretty astonishing. Also, this screen has a dead pixel somewhere because almost all brand new screens do, and this one I tested and it does. I don't know where it is. I tested it a long time ago, but our bottom screen works. Let's test out our shoulder buttons and see if the shoulder buttons work. Okay. R does not work, and then we'll test L. Okay, well, L works at least. We'll test L again just to be safe. L works, but R does not. Thank you for your testing. So let's clean the bottom LCD screen to see if it has any wear. Now this screen, it has some scratches. Just for that, I will be replacing the digitizer. So let's go ahead and get this taken off. And then we got to get the R button fixed. So R button is this shoulder button right here. Now to do that, I pry it open. And so now in here, we got the shoulder button. It's like reddish right now. It should be like the clean silver metal color, but it is clearly not. So all we do is we scrape it with our tweezers, and then I like to brush it out with a toothbrush and then to blow it out with some air. So that'll be all cleaned. And now we got to do the same thing for this piece. This one is like bluish. It should be very clean and shiny metal color, not blue like that at all. So I like to put it on a hard flat surface like the battery door, hold it down with my fingernail, and then scrape away with my tweezers. You want to be gentle by doing this because this is the button that clicks, that provides the nice click of the shoulder button. So if you press too hard, it can take away the click, which would then make it work even less because it needs the click. So we got that scraped off. Now we can brush it and then blow it. So now I like to pick it up with my finger and then grab onto it with my magnetic free tweezers and put it right in place here. And we can drop our rubber piece back in there. It still clicks flawlessly. That's awesome. So now this shoulder button should be working like new. So now we can set our board off to the side for now. We want to address the top screen. So the thing about this is, well, first, let's make sure there are no big scratches on the top screen so that we can know if we want to use the lens, because we will need the lens. Okay, yep. So this lens has some pretty heavy scratches on it. We can see those scratches right there. Those are very big, no good. So I want to try to find a system that I can use the top screen and top screen lens for. Now this one looks pretty good. This one looks perfect actually. However, the thing is, we need to make sure that the bottom screen matches the top screen. So for this top screen, we can see it's like a yellowish tint. It has like a yellowish, not really when you look at it, but when you do that, it's yellow. Right here, it's normal. When you do that, it's yellow, but you can still tell it's brighter and a little more yellow than this screen. So we want to make sure this has the same tint as this. Otherwise, this top screen will not be good for us and our needs. So what I'm going to do again, I'm going to plug this back into here so I can look at the tint of this bottom screen while I look at the tint of our potential replacement top screen and see if it's what we want and need. So we'll see here. And it's a pretty dang close match, but you can tell it's a little closer. It's in the middle of the top screen and the bottom screen. Also, I'm pretty sure this is on level 3 brightness and this is now on level 3 brightness. So it actually matches pretty well. So what I'm going to do in that case, since this one matches so well, and this is one of the only top screens I have with a good black lens from a black DS, I'm going to use this top screen in this system. So what is next is we need to get that top screen. So now we must disassemble this system to get this top screen. Let's see how quickly I can do it, starting now. Wow, that only took 1.8 seconds. All right, here we go with our replacement top screen. So now we got to take this guy and put him into this assembly. So I can slide this plate upward, take it off just like that. And we don't care about pretty much anything in here. The top screen, we don't care about. We don't care about these cables because these were getting pinched in that bottom plate, so I don't really want to use these. So these are pinched a little bit. They're a little bit compromised, so I would rather use new ones. So here we have replacements as well. This came from that same DS of our replacement top screen. So cool that everything is coming from that DS. So this is our defective top screen. You hopefully had a nice life before this happened to you. Anyways, and then the other elephant in the room is this plate here. We need to replace this plate because of how broken it is right here. We will look at that actually right now because this is the first step. Here I have a bin full of these shell pieces. These are all authentic Nintendo and I want to get one in good condition. This one looks good. So here is our replacement. So now, one thing I'm really not looking forward to is getting this removed. See if we can do something about this sticky goo. So we'll let it soak a little bit. This is Dawn water, so we'll let that soak for a little bit. And I'm going to use a magic eraser to help break up some of this gross stickiness. So this will take some time, but what I'm going to do, I'm just going to use this magic eraser to get rid of all of the sticky goo, and then I'll show you what our next step is, because a lot of you are probably thinking, dude, why are you using a magic eraser? This is the worst thing to use on electronics like this. I promise, when done right, it can provide amazing results. So just have faith in me at the moment, and I will show you how good this is going to look in about 10-ish minutes. So we can see it's starting to break up. As I do this, bubbles get bigger. That's exactly what I want to see, and that's exactly why I use magic erasers. Okay, never mind about 10 minutes. This is going incredibly nice. Okay, that was actually really nice and easy. We'll see what we're working with here. You can see the true condition of this shell piece. Okay, so we can see it's pretty scuffed and scratched. So all of this is going to even out and shine out in less than a minute. So we take a scuffing pad here, and I use Meguiar's Ultimate Compound, put some on our buffing pad, and now we just wipe on, and we'll rub on for about 30 seconds. All right, so with that little bit of time, not all that much effort, make sure all of this compound is gone and away, and look at this beauty. That is incredible. You can't say that's not impressive for the tools that I used. All of this was possible thanks to a magic eraser. So this plate has 3 defects. There's one small paint chip right there. There's one small paint chip / scratch right there. And then there's one deeper scratch right here. But that's totally fine. And now that we have restored and renewed this piece, it is nice and smooth like new. Okay, that's weird. The inside of it is just absolutely scratched up. I don't know how that happened, but it doesn't matter because it's the inside of the piece. So now we have this, and we have this, our replacement piece that has a good hinge. So now what we will do, we will put our top screen into this shell piece. So I need to curl up our ribbon cable and then gently put it through there. Okay, now we have our replacement microphone and our replacement Wi-Fi antenna cables. Put that right in there. And then we can slide it through the ribbon cable and then put it in its tracks. Now we do the same thing for the Wi-Fi antenna. I put the cable through the top screen cable, set it in place, pull it, and then set the cable in its tracks. So now we can fold this down, and we need our speaker rings. So we can see there aren't any speaker rings in here, and our speakers do not have their rings attached. So these came out of our replacement piece, or the original shell piece. Drop them in glossy side facing down, and then we can put the speakers in. Make sure this one is routed properly underneath the sticker and between the screen and the shell piece. Otherwise, the cables can get smashed when you try to put the top plate on. So now that's looking good, but we can see there are a couple of fingerprints on this top screen, so get those taken care of. Now we can drop. Oh no, dude. I didn't see this. I didn't see this at first, but this has a crack. Dang, this was gonna be such a nice looking system. I'm gonna keep that like this for now, but at the final part of the assembly process, I'll swap this top plate, but I'm gonna keep it on for now so that we can see what the refurbished system actually looks like. So now we have this shell piece. Now I'm really hoping that these stickers will not leave behind residue like they did on the top plate. It wants to, but the residue is peeling up. Okay. As long as this doesn't leave any residue, this is going to leave this shell piece in actually really good condition because it protects the areas from wear. All right, so now that's ready to be assembled. So I wanted to keep these buttons in place because it saves time. So I'll leave all of those in place. But now we have to take apart this hinge piece, which I didn't need to do before because the hinge was so severely broken. But now I can remove that hinge piece and put these cables through here. Now I'm going to connect the top screen in a way that I don't need to flip this piece right side up. So I'm going to keep it upside down so that the buttons stay in place. So I kind of got to do it in reverse here. Got to put this top screen cable through this slit. And then slide it through. There we go. So now hinge. Here we have our hinge. It's a little bit dirty, so we'll just get it cleaned up a little bit. Put that in there, and we can see the hinge works amazing. It's strong. That snaps into all of its main viewing angles, so we can get that down in place, and then we can get our hinge screws back in. Okay, so now we have our motherboard. We already replaced the R trigger, however, I did not replace our digitizer. So actually, before I go ahead and replace the digitizer, the scratches they are not that bad, and they might not show up on the screen with it on. So I'm going to plug this all back in, and we'll test the digitizer to see if any scratches actually show up on the screen. But first, before we can plug in our motherboard, we have to route this white microphone cable in its tracks here, and I like to bend it upward like that. And I'm going to clean these rubber membranes. Now I'm going to get a screw in just to help me test. So we got a battery in, and then let's see if any scratches show up on the bottom screen. No, dude. That's fantastic. So while the bottom screen has scratches, you can't really tell when it's on, and the touch works perfectly. So I am not going to replace the digitizer. It would be silly to. It works great. There's no dust between it and the screen, so there's really no point. And the scratches, you can see them, but they are all light scratches. You literally can't see anything with the screen on. Now we are good. We can keep the motherboard in just like it is. And I will put this black cable, the Wi-Fi antenna, underneath the cartridge port where it goes. Just like that. Then I can slap in our Wi-Fi chip, and we can plug in this black cable into the Wi-Fi chip. We'll get our second motherboard screw in, and now I'm going to clean these shoulder buttons because there's just some dirt and dust built up over the years. Give our shell a quick cleaning. And now we can get our shoulder buttons back in place. Perfect, they click great. So now we have our bottom shell piece to go back in, but before we go in with this, I'm going to clean the outer perimeter. So there's our power switch, and here's our volume switch. Make sure they're both in the down position, down, and then we can slap the plate on. We can get our screws back in place. We have a lot of more cleaning to do because there's a lot of dust and the screw holes and everything. And for now, I'm going to clean the battery door screw. Like, look how much dust is in here. So I will unfortunately need to replace this piece because it's cracked and it has a whole chunk of plastic missing. I've literally never seen that before, so go figure. It's on a plate that actually means a lot to me, but oh well. That crack right there, it would look black if I used a black hinge instead, but we have a white hinge in there, so there's white behind it, but I could fit my whole screw bit in there. Here is the system. Aside from these screws and screw pads being put in, here is our system that actually really came together really nicely. I'm going to clean up this bottom shell plate because it had decals that left behind some residue on the sides, so we're getting that cleaned up. And then top screen. So here's our system. This looks amazing. And we turn it on. How do the screens look? Does it even work? Oh, heck. Oh, heck! It would look good, but the top screen is defective. I failed miserably! Maybe it'll work now? How about now? Are you sure? Maybe the top screen ribbon cable is already fragile, but clearly it got a tear in it somewhere, and it clearly does not work. I was not expecting that, but cosmetically, this system looks amazing. I used a piece up here that matches this one perfectly. This one is in great shape. You can kind of see the lines of where the decals were, but that's okay. It's mostly clean, and you can't even really see it in person. If anything, it just looks like normal wear from pressing the button. I failed miserably! But we have to replace this piece. I'll find one in identical condition. And then we gotta replace this dang top screen again. So let me find a top screen, once again, that matches the bottom screen. I may have found a candidate, but we'll see. First, I need to get the system all set up so that we can change the brightness, just to make sure that the brightness matches up. That's so unfortunate, man, and now it's not even working. That's crazy. Sometimes things don't work out, but that's okay. So that's already max brightness. And this is max brightness. So we can see these screens match perfectly. So if anything, this screen is going to be a better candidate than this screen was, because when we tilt the screen this way, they look the same exact. They don't turn a weird bright yellow color like this screen originally did. So if anything, this is going to produce an even higher quality system to sell on my eBay shop, albeit with a little bit of extra troubles that I didn't expect. So now we gotta get this system disassembled. Okay, and now I just gotta get this into here with this top screen lens, just like that. And it works great. Now the top screen is a little flickery. We can see it's flickering a good bit, so I'll take care of that and I'll show you exactly how I do that. But first, we can see this plate, just our replacement plate, doesn't have the crack, but it's not as shiny and as nice of a blue as this one was. So I'm going to do the same thing to this plate that I did our other one. So that means first, I'm going to wipe it with a magic eraser just a little bit, just to scuff it up and to help get rid of any micro scratches. Sometimes things need to look worse before they look better. Just like how sometimes if we're going through a hard time in our life, we gotta go down before we can get up. Maybe it'll work now. It just looks incredible. So now, this one looks pretty much just like our original one. I'm going to address the flickering screen. So we need to remove our battery door, and then I like to use a small Phillips screwdriver. Now, this is the top screen potentiometer. Before I explain how to fix it, let me explain how it happens. Sometimes when you swap a screen, sometimes the motherboard, it's not tuned to the screens. So that's where these potentiometers come into place. I put my screwdriver onto one and I rotate it until the flickering goes away, which indicates the correct amount of voltage being sent to the screen. And there we have it. All of the flickering is gone. The screen looks a lot better than the other one would have. Maybe not a lot better, but notably better. I just noticed this screen has some scratches. There's one scratch right here that shows up, and then there's 3 heavier scratches up here. These all show up. So this one right here, that one shows up on the screen when it's on, and these 4 show up on the screen when it's on. That is not good. So I found a replacement screen lens that I will use. This one is in amazing condition. However, it has dust all over the inside of it. All of these pieces are dust. So I'm going to peel up this top lens. Okay, yeah, so a lot of that dust stuck to the lens itself. Take that off, take this out of here. And so now this is the lens that we'll be using. We can't have any dust inside of it. So we want to make sure there is no dust. Now, one bad thing about these lenses are they scratch really easily from the inside. Meaning, if you have a microfiber towel, even if it's super gentle, you can still scratch the inside of the screen with it. This looks pretty good, so we will go ahead and mock it up and see what it looks like. All right, there we go. I am more than happy with that. There's a couple of dust specks in the screen, but absolutely none of them show up with the screen on, so it's really, really hard to get rid of every single dust. There's dust all around us everywhere. It's kind of impossible. But that is fantastic. It looks a lot better than it did before. That is for sure. And there are no scratches on this one, which is fantastic. The final step of this restoration, got these screws going in, and then we have some rubber pads to take care of. Just like that, you guys. And we can't forget battery door. And here we have it, guys. Our DS Pop some games in just to make sure that it works. I actually did not even test them whatsoever. We turn it on, it looks amazing. This DS works amazing now. The top screen doesn't glitch no matter what position it's in, which is fantastic. And both shoulder buttons work amazing with every click, so that's fantastic. And the touchscreen is accurate like new. It works phenomenal. The top screen, no scratches, and the screens look amazing in person. They might show a little bit of a yellow tint here, here, and here, and here on camera, but in person, it is pretty much not even noticeable against white screens. So during gameplay, you're never going to see that. So it doesn't want to read our DS game. So what I do about that is spray it with our spray, and then we put it in with all of the gold contacts as wet. And then we'll do this about 30 times. All right, so there we have our 30 times. Now I dry the cartridge, put it back in, take it back out, dry it again, put it in, take it out, dry it again, and now it's completely dry. So now we'll turn it on and we'll wait for the Nintendo logo. That means it read the DS game, and there we go. So we can play it. We can plug in the device to power, charges wonderfully, and it's going to play the game like new. So this repair did not go as planned. It took 2 top screens because I failed one attempt, and then the top screen that I used for a specific reason ended up having scratches all along here, so I replaced it with another top screen lens. But then we replaced this piece. Here is our original. So there we have it. And now just to prove that the card reader works now, I'll pop in just a random game, and we should have a Nintendo logo. So this system will read games like new. The buttons are very nice and clicky. They work great. I hope you enjoyed my eBay restoration DS. If you did, leave a big thumbs up. It really helps out. If you'd like to watch a video of an insanely custom shelf swap of a system I did, I will leave that link right up here on the screen, and you can go hang out with me over there. Thanks a ton for watching, and I'll see you next time.